All right, I believe we're live. So wait a few minutes here and wait for a few people to show up. This will be a live video. If you're on a phone, a TV, a tablet, or whatever it may be, you have the option to chat with me, and I'm able to answer questions. So this video is going to be about what is HUD Section 8 home ownership, the voucher, and buying a house through Section 8. So there's two different issues at play here, and we're going to be discussing that today. So first, I want to go into introductions. I'm the owner of Section8Consulting.com. I consult with a lot of clients in every state in the U.S. have been doing so for a very long time. And I'm going to leave y'all with a little bit of information before we get into the home purchase program here for those of you that have vouchers. Just bear with me just a minute. All right, so I'm going to copy a link in for those of you that are able to see links and chat with me through the window, and I believe that anybody can do so. Super Queen B, hey, welcome to the channel. All right, so as y'all know, it's Sunday, so I'm a little bit, I don't know, I'm not tired. I'm just kind of slow starting right now, but we're going to get to business here. So last Sunday, I made a hour and a half video. About the first 30 minutes was a lot of technical jargon, and I felt like a lot of you did not benefit from that. So we're going to break it down a little bit simpler. And then next Sunday, this following Sunday, we're going to address loans and some of the other aspects. You know, utilizing your voucher to purchase a home through your housing authority is a complicated process. It's for everybody. It doesn't matter whether you're a low earner or you're a senior or whatever it may be. The important thing is that you stay the course so you're able to learn as much as you can and then be able to do so. Okay. So the first thing we're going to be talking about, if you are a first-time home buyer, then this would likely be a good program for you, as long as nobody else in the home has owned a principal interest or owned another home. Then this would also be a good program. This is also for those of you on a fixed income and Social Security disability, and so on. You need to earn at least $14,500 annually, which means yearly. For those of you, they look at credit ranges, so you will be dealing with a lender, and that lender will be having a minimum expectation of a 500 credit score, which is pretty bad. And the higher you go, the better this gets. But I think you have unsecured loans, okay, and these are high interest loans from 500 points up to about 620. Once you reach 620 on your credit score, then things get a lot better. And of course, when you arrive at 640 or better, you'll find that there's a lot more avenues you can take as far as borrowing and lending. So that's absolutely part of the process. One of the other requirements is the primary person that is looking to utilize their voucher to purchase a home through HUD or your housing authority must have continuous on-time or full-time employment. That means 30 hours or better, unless you are disabled or you're an elderly family. And I'm going to explain what that means, okay? So if you're disabled or you're elderly or you have elderly in your family, then it may not be required. Now, let's talk about the disabled family, meaning so families whose head, including the co-head, spouse, or sole member, is a person with a disability. It may include two or more persons with a disability living together, or one or more persons with disabilities living with one another, or live-in aids. Okay, for those of you that use live-in aids. Displaced family. So there's a under definition to this would mean a family in which each member or whose sole member is a person displaced by a government action, or a person's dwelling has been extensively damaged, destroyed, or as a result of disaster, and so on. Okay, so let's get back to the simple part of this. So most of these prerequisites for loans are going to be FHA, Fannie Mae, or Fannie Mac. And that works inside. Hold on one moment. Looks like we got a few comments here. I receive SSDI and I work part-time, so that's sufficient. Sheila Barrera, well, Ms. Barrera, your comment has been retracted, so I don't know what you were going to say. So, anyways, besides those simple limitations, if a family's been admitted, so the thing about this is you must first have a voucher, and we must determine what type of voucher. So there are many types. So you have a housing authority in your county, in your state, and you have a voucher. Are you going to be a project-based tenant? Will you be a tenant-based, or do you have some other type of voucher? So this does require the appropriate type of voucher. If you don't have the appropriate voucher, then it will need to be converted over to that. All right. If your housing authority does not offer this program, then you will need to take your voucher and move you and your family to a county where they do offer. This is not offered in every county in America or every state. So we must first check just to see if this is even a program that could be utilized. Looks like we got a few more questions here. I'm going to try to answer. Jody Brantley Clark, I get SSI, so that's fine. Kathleen Ramos, we are both disabled. Mr. J, he's 62 and I'm 65. So y'all would be qualified as seniors, and that would work. Queen Bee says I have HCV. Now that is an approved type of voucher for this. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying, Ms. Barrera. I get it, guys. Sometimes we make mistakes when we're chatting. So, all right. Number 3 of the policy and procedure or rule for this is the family must satisfy the minimum income requirement as described. And I think I've already described that. You've either been working a solid 12 months, and all 12 months you're 30 hours or more, or you're disabled, or you're 62 years or older. Okay. If you don't meet those requirements, then you're not ready just yet. Also, a minimum credit score of 500 up to the beginning levels of a 620. Look, the closer you are to 500, the harder it is to get a qualified loan, which means then you get into the strange loans from bad places with big interest. Okay. So, fourth rule, and unemployment requirements as described. And I already told you about that part. Now, another thing they're going to discuss here is rule number 5, family is not defaulted on a mortgage. So, going back to that again, you as the primary person looking to utilize your voucher to purchase a home, you must not have owned a home in the past 3 years or defaulted. And for everybody else that's in the house that's over 18, you would need to make sure they've not owned a home in the past 3 years either. Otherwise, they kind of look at it as you're cheating the system. All right, so take a look at number 7, and you have some other initial requirements that will be established by your PHA. Now, as most of you know, housing authorities do have their own set of rules. They do modify those that come from the feds, which is HUD, which is a federal organization, but they'll have their own set of rules. And part of this is anytime you own a home, you're going to be required to take classes to make sure that you're financially responsible. And plus, the loans do require that. In addition to that, you would have to meet all the standard requirements that you would as it have in the voucher when you got an apartment. They have HQS, which means housing inspection. So, you cannot be in violation. You must be in good standing with your HAP contract and other things in order to be able to utilize this. I'm going to take a look at a few more questions here. Joe Brantley says he got a 670. So you do well. You would be what they call a person that could be well qualified for the bank, Fannie Mae, Fannie Mac, or an FHA loan. And just keep in mind, guys, lenders must be approved by the housing authority. So they're not going to allow you to go to just any shady loan broker. They have to be directly involved with that broker, and the broker must be approved. In other words, the bank or loan agent for this. And I think that's going to be something we should get into a little bit deeper in the next video next Sunday around 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. Texas is talking a little bit more about Fannie Mae, Fannie Mac, FHA loans, and all the other wonderful things that come with it. Please understand that I'm not an expert in that area. That's just kind of by virtue connected to what we're talking about here, where I actually do know. Lakeisha Bridges, how much you have to make in order to use Section 8 to buy a home? $14,500. And there's actually more mathematical equations involved, but I believe the minimum would be $14,500 based on a principal income for the year, unless you are a person that is 62 years and older, or you have a disability that would prevent you from working. Okay. So, take a look at a few of my notes here. Now, one of the things that they'll be discussing with you is also receiving a grant for down payment, and I think that comes in lieu of already applying. So there'll be a second application process to be able to get down payment assistance, and in some cases with FHA loans and other things like the USDA loans, they may not require any down payment whatsoever or a very small part. Um, Looking at these questions here. Lakeisha Bridges, how much you have to make? Okay, okay. So let me explain something about this guy. I see a lot of questions rolling through, and I expected this. This is why it'll take a little while for us to cut through all this. But doing this as a process is about 4 to 6, possibly 8 months. There are several factors to be considered. One, do you meet the initial requirements we kind of just discussed, for the last 10 minutes? Second to that would be, you're going to be working with a loan broker. This is not a situation where you walk into the housing authority, excuse me, where do I sign to get my house? No, it does not work that way. You are quite literally taking out a loan with the permission. So all that HUD, all the housing authority is doing is it's redirecting that money that would have paid your rent. Instead of paying your rent, it's going to pay your mortgage. That's all that you're establishing between you and that housing authority. All the other responsibility that goes into this, you're pretty much on your own with that. So when we talk about dealing with a real estate agent to find the house and to negotiate it, that is another person that's going to be involved in this deal. And then besides that, we talk about the lender, the bank, Fannie Mae, Fannie Mac, FHA loans, or if it's a bank or so whoever, then you'll need to meet those separate set of requirements too. The thing is, don't let this overwhelm yourself, guys. Um, they offer these programs very clearly to assist people that are seniors and people that are on Social Security checks and those that virtually make no money. So, is it a pain in the ass? Absolutely, to do all this. Does it take a lot of time to do it? Yes. Does it take a wild amount of commitment? Absolutely. But the reality is, for those of you that are willing to go through this lengthy process, and let me tell you something, buying a house under normal circumstances is not easy either. Okay. So, I don't really think it's that far of a cry. It just means that we have to work around a lot more rules, and it's a little bit more of a strain, but I mean the result's still the same. If you're able to utilize the housing authority to pay your mortgage, and I think that's a beautiful deal. And inside of that, you're already inside of a pandemic, and inside of this pandemic we've been through two presidents so far, and both have given exceptional incentives in order for you to buy a house in addition to all of this. So I would say that you're primed in a very good market. Sadly, the markets have been a little bit overheated since the beginning of the year. But so I just want you to understand, guys, this is not as simple as you walk in, excuse me, where do I sign to get my house? It does not work that way. So I just let you know, don't ever think it's that simple. As to look at a few more questions, Kathleen Ramos, JR, you are so appreciated. Thank you very much. Thank you. So I just wanted to tell Kathleen there that I appreciate anybody that thanks me in these videos, because a lot of times people get what they need and they never think. So I definitely enjoy people that appreciate anything that's being given for free or advice. All right, let's take a look at some more of the information here. Besides your determination of eligibility of income, which we've already discussed, 14,500 at a minimum, or Social Security disability, survivor benefits, or any other kind of payments you're receiving that would total 14,500 for the year, we're in the money, which means we're ready to kind of start the process. Credit scores from 500 up to 620, 640, and then the higher you get, the better it gets. It means a lower interest rate. All right. Take a look here for a little bit more information for you guys. So beyond that, we also have to consider one more factor in there. So, with purchasing the home, we also going to have to look at the home inspection, the cost of doing that, and saving the money to do so. And then, in addition to that, we would need to be able to figure out how to afford the home insurance, because they have what they call Home 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And that home insurance is covering for different disasters. So, there are different sets of requirements. So, the first set of requirements I talked to very basically for about 10 minutes. That's going to be the housing authority requirement to get you in the door. And I think a lot of you can do it, even if you need a little help. Secondary requirements we need to look at is cleaning up your credit. Look, guys, there are ways to do that. Even if you've got a bunch of negative marks against you and all that, you can raise that score long enough and good enough to be able to kind of push you through this process, because we got to get you. So those of you that are at 500, we got to get you up there a little higher. So then we have lender requirements. That will be next Sunday's video, where I'll be kind of discussing that, and we'll look at all the different options for lenders. And again, I just want to repeat that the lenders that are willing to assist you for buying small, reasonable homes, a lot of this stuff is designed to work with people that virtually have no money. Okay, so just make sure that you understand this is not only for the entitled. This is not only for people that have a high income. You can have a low income. That's why these programs were, exist. Now, I do have some concerns for those of you that are in states where properties are expensive. They're not going to let you buy $1 million home. You guys probably have a budget around 60 to 90,000. You may have to consider living in a different state. You cannot handle or take on a mortgage where it's 900 a month and you're receiving 900. So that has to be carefully planned. A lot of you that are living in ridiculous states with ridiculous costs, you're going to have to either figure out a different county where property values are lower or move to a different state. Okay, so let's just face that reality early on, that if you're living in Manhattan and the Bronx and Queens and LA and Chicago, we're going to have to look at other options for other counties where the cost of the homes are much, much cheaper. Okay, they're not going to give you 250, 350,000 and $500,000 to buy a house when you don't have shit to pay the mortgage with, in addition to mortgage insurance, utilities, and so on. Now, I do realize that your your rental agreement with them, instead of utilizing that voucher to pay rent, they are going to pay the vast majority of it, but there will be some rent responsibility above it if you end up getting some pricey home. Let's see if we have any more questions here. So Queen Bee says, well worth the process. And anyways, just popped in. Anyways, welcome to the channel. What about also using the USDA loan or grant? Yes. So I actually brought that up briefly. You probably were here at that exact time. Now, as most of you know, if you purchase your home outside the city limits or outside the metropolitan area, it's a lot of the USDA loans in combination. I believe it does do zero down and zero interest for quite a while, number of years. In addition to that, I believe the current president will also give you, I think, $25,000 as a grant. Do not have to pay it back towards your actual down payment of the house. So that covers that. Now, look, that 25,000. Don't think you're going to get clever, buy a house and sell it 4 days later and get your 25 grand that's just been given to you. There will be requirements of that too. That's the thing, guys. There's a lot of rules with this. They're not impossible to meet. It just means that we all have to grow up and take on those responsibilities like any other person. So that's why I'm saying there's a lot of parts to this, and this is why it's going to take a lot of videos. But I really wanted to make this video simpler than the last one, because I spoke for a half hour reading pretty much title and page, and I think a lot of you just struggled with that. Another comment, Sheila Barbera, I have been assigned a case manager through. Okay, so Sheila, that's not the appropriate conversation for this video. We're talking about homes, not your personal case. All right. So I would advise you to please email me about that, not to do that here. Okay. Also, when you use those words in YouTube like that, domestic and violence and stuff like that, then you could actually, YouTube will block you from being able to comment, because those words are considered, I don't know. YouTube just has some rules about it. So nothing personal, Sheila. I'm just saying this is not the video part. Lakeisha, hey, how are you doing? We have somebody that has an interesting name that just chimed in. Their name is T.O. or 2. How are you doing? Welcome to the channel. What do you need to do first to start the process? What program do you need to be in? At the very least, to start this program, 2 things need to be established. 1, does your housing authority, in fact, participate in the program that would allow you to utilize your voucher? 2, to answer your question, you would need a Housing Choice Voucher. It means you have the choice to go and live wherever you'd like, which means also you would have the choice to pretty much buy a house wherever you'd like, anywhere in the U.S. Second to that, if you have a project-based apartment where the housing authority owns it, you would need to convert project-based voucher over to a TBV or tenant-based voucher, which is also better known as a Housing Choice Voucher. Now, I know you guys that follow me a lot on this channel hear me talk about a lot of different types of vouchers. Most of those vouchers I'm talking about are Housing Choice Vouchers. The ones that are going to be a little bit complex to deal with, or when you are in a subsidy property, or if you have a project based voucher. Those are the two that we have to convert. That process is going to take us 30 days. If you guys are meeting the first starting parts of this, oh, by the way, there's one additional thing. If you are in FSS or self sufficiency program, SSP, then the program will work a little bit differently, and that's another video. Sorry. Candy. Hey, Candy, how you doing? Glad to have you back. Hey, Jay, how and everyone. Glad to have you here. Anyways, do FICO scores affect eligibility? No, they do not. So the housing authority, as long as you're meeting the initial agreement to the housing authority, you may begin the process. FICO scores are only considered by the lender. So no, it's not. You don't have to have great credit. You can have bad credit and start the process. But the lender will require that you meet a specific score. Federal guidelines say it starts at around 500. But I think that the closer you get to a 620, the better you're going to do with this. The more options of lenders, okay, is what I mean. When you're below 580, those are considered what they call unsecured loans, which means a little bit more shady of lenders. But for most of you, I would hope that you would go through Fannie Mae, Fannie Mac, or get an FHA loan or a USDA loan. So yeah. Lakeisha, do we have to have a section voucher? No. Well, so you have to get a voucher. You don't have to have one to start. So let's put it this way. Let's just say you're a new client of mine and you don't have a voucher yet. The goal should be to get the voucher so you can participate. Because without the voucher, you don't have a way to pay that mortgage. Okay. So, no, you don't initially have one. You could actually start both processes fresh. Hey, excuse me, my name is Angela. I'm applying today for a voucher. I would also like to see if I can participate in the home buyer program through your housing authority. And then that would commence the minute they would be able to give you the voucher. So you could actually start some of your work prior to that. Another comment, Jody. Yeah, Jody Brantley Clark. Thank you for the help. No problem. A couple thumbs up here and there from Candy Girl. And Tio says, if you have a disability, do you still qualify? If you are disabled, yes. If you are a senior 62 and older, yes. Lakeisha H, thank you for your videos. Very, very helpful. Hey guys, I'm trying, man. Look, there's a lot of people on YouTube that make videos about this stuff, and they're not Section 8 consultants. They don't have any history with this stuff, or they work in the loan industry, and their interest in you is simply to get you suckered in some loan. Look, you guys have to take a straight course with this. You have to be careful with who you're taking advice with, because the reality of it is, it can be done by each and every one of you as long as you meet those 5 or 6 requirements I said. The thing that I'm trying to impress upon you is if you start hearing people talk about this that are strictly non-Section 8 and they're just talking about normal loans and all that and trying to involve you that way, that isn't going to do you any good. That's the switch, bait and switch. So just be cautious where you're getting your advice. Beyond that, guys, looks like another question. Tio says, if you have a disability under 62, you still apply. Yes. Okay, so let me super clarify the disability, seniors, and all that. Number one, anybody, any age can do this. You can be 18 to whatever age, 105, 118. Number two, you can be disabled, 18 to whatever age up to 150. All right. So just to be clear, any disability, any age. If you are a senior in 62, then yes. There are different policies here. The policy about you being disabled in 62 means that you do not have to work 30 hours. That's all it means. So just to clear that up, guys, look, if you receiving Social Security disability, then yes. If you're not receiving that because you're 62 and older and you're not disabled, then you're going to have to get out there to Uber or the Taco Bell and do your $14,500 worth of work, 30 hours a week, and you must have maintained that work. If you're disabled and a senior, you're not required to work. You just simply must have your Social Security disability, or Social Security survivor benefits as a requirement. That's it. They don't require to work. So I hope that helps kind of do that. Now, look, guys, if they designed this with in mind, knowing that most of you guys are getting $800-900 a month for your Social Security, or you're getting $400-500 for your Social Security disability check, and some people do really get low payments. They're already aware, and they would have not designed this program for y'all if they thought it was going to fail. Okay, so that's what I've been trying to tell you guys. That, yeah, it's a long process. You have to be involved. There's several key parts involved, but it's there for you specifically. I think what the big disappointment a lot of you guys is, I think a lot of you have an idea that you're going to get a $200,000-300,000 home. That's never ever going to happen with this program. You may get a modest home, which means a single family home. If you are an individual, single family homes means they're zoned as single occupancy or single person. And then if you are a family, you may get a multi family property, which means they have several bedrooms and are zoned that specific way. Okay. Most of you guys would be smart to keep your loans under 80 grand. And that may not be a house in your state. There's houses for that, but you may end up having to move to the southern states. Okay. Or you may have to move to a farther out county in your particular state to meet that requirement. You don't want to be leveraged under a gigantic loan for 30 years when you're 98 years old, okay? So some things have to be considered here. We have to be reasonable. Anything's better. Everything's better when you own the home, but yeah, you guys have got to quit having these fantasies of, stucco homes, and I'm going to have a 10-bedroom house. That's ridiculous. You got to stop with that. Yes. So now with the housing, discuss the type of house. You may own a condo. You may own a trailer with wheels, a mobile home. You may own a brand new home. You may own a historic home. You may own any kind of home you want, as long as it's meets HQS, which means a housing inspection by the housing authority, which I think is a bit counterproductive. So the lender is going to require an actual professional to go inspect. So why would we need a $6 an hour idiot from the housing authority to come out there, play Tinkerbell, and then approve you? I never understood why the housing authority must be involved in the inspection process. Anyways, they're not qualified. They're not licensed for shit, but yet they need to go out there. So I think that's interesting. What you really should just be worried about is whether or not your inspections going to be done through your lender and a professional to come out there and actually look at your plumbing and same things like that. Not just carry around a silly little notepad and pretend you know things like they do at the housing authority. Those inspectors that do inspections for the housing authority are a fabulous joke. They'll check to see how much tension's on your on the rod on the on the blinds. I mean, come on, give me a break. So, Tamika Westbrook, how are you doing today? Welcome to the channel. Just came on. If you have a Section 8, how do you go through the process? Doggone it, Tamika. I've already been talking for 10 minutes. You're working me. So, Tamika, here's my suggestion on it. I would definitely have you bookmark the video and just kind of start at the beginning. But let me give you a few pointers to help you out, because I know you don't want to watch it unless you think you're going to qualify. I understand that. So going back to the original part, no, it's no problem, Tamika. First of all, you need an income greater than $1,450, unless you are disabled or you are a senior, 62 and 62 and older. Then you don't have to prove that income. Number two, I think we've already discussed the fact that you have to have your HQS or inspection. And number three, hold on, looks like we got another comment here. Oh, you guys are really hammering me in these comments. Okay, back to Tamika. So besides the income requirement, you would have to meet a credit score requirement of 500 or better, and then there's going to be other qualifications you would need at the housing authority. So Tamika, the best thing is first for you to establish whether or not your housing authority offers a program. If they do, then do you have the appropriate voucher? Do you have no voucher? Do you have a housing choice voucher? And do you need to change that? And then there's loan requirements. or lender requirements, and you would need to meet those as well. But you won't know those till you complete the first two. So I don't want to get too far into it, Tamika, but there's a considerable number of things that need to be considered with this. Also, guys, another element we need to talk about is you need a qualified broker or real estate agent. Those don't really cost you anything. They're just simply part of the process. So, for instance, I'm talking to you guys as a consultant. I'm getting you warmed up to go out there and do that. Then there's, as I mentioned, there's the housing authority's involvement. That's the second person that's involved, or entity. Then the third entity is going to be the loan agent or loan broker, and that's the bank or the loan agent, the people going to loan you the money. So that's three. And then we're talking about brokers and real estate agents. So you can already see you have 4 or 5 people that are built into this. You're coordinating as you complete each process through there, and you get a little further and complete it, you're going on to the next person. That's why I told you guys, this is not as quick, and you'd have an easier time getting a voucher than you would probably doing this. Now, this process, as I mentioned, is a 4, 6, 8 month process to go through. And if you don't let it overwhelm you mentally, then you'll do okay with this. It just means, okay, there's 100 things to do. Let's start with the first 3. Once I knock out 1, 2, and 3, let's step up the game, complete another 3. That's how you want to handle it. A lot of you guys try to go and do everything at once and you get overwhelmed. And I have a lot of clients that love to do that. And so, yeah, they wouldn't design the program if it wasn't useful. So, all right. So it looks like we're on a question. So, guys, if you have questions about a home purchase, utilizing your voucher to purchase a home from your county housing authority, or maybe you don't have a voucher, but you're considering applying at the housing authority to get a voucher, then go ahead and ask those questions if you want to. Because today I'm going to be wrapping up this video a little bit early. We don't really have the number of people I thought would be here. And I get it's a Sunday, So if you don't have any further questions, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Heather chimed in and said, excuse me 1 minute. Oh, Heather, thank you. Looks like you are a member of ours. And Heather says, I have all the qualifications you mentioned. I just have to port my voucher to a county that has a Section 8 homeownership program. Am I going to book another consult with you? Heather, we should at minimum have a conversation by email to see how. Here's the thing, guys. You don't really know how far y'all need me into this process. It's preferable to me that most of you are educated people. You do understand how to take care of your business. So I don't need to do a lot of hand holding. I would love to go and make a lot of money off of everybody, but that's not my goal. My goal here is when you have a problem with the home purchase or you need some guidance, that's an appropriate time to have a consultant to enter the system with you. What you don't want to do is have any one of these entities, including me, sit there and start billing you for hours and hours of work. Okay. So, Heather, my suggestion would be this, that we first kind of sort out where you are actually with this. So I already know that you have the prerequisites, and just see how much help that you're going to need from me to get through the initial process of either one, finding the housing authority that's going to be able to have the program, and two, help you get through the program requirements. Because I believe, Heather, like most people that are in my channel, I think you can get to a vast portions of this without spending a great deal of money on consulting and other crazy shit like attorneys. Okay. So, anyways, commented in the channel, is there a land maximum with home ownership program? So I have to say, as long as you are able to qualify for the loan dictates the payment. The payment can be covered under what you're being given as a payment from the housing authority. In other words, whatever your vouchers technically were, the housing authority says, hey, look, you know what? You got a voucher worth $12,183.10. That amount of money is the maximum line on what you could pay against a mortgage, okay? That means you have a limitation. Outside of that, it doesn't matter if the house is a 1-story, 2-story, if you're on 100 acres or a million or nothing. It only matters what your value is. It is your home that you're buying. Homes are not owned by the housing authority. And the only thing they say, the housing authority policy, when it comes to these houses, as long as it meets an inspection, so the lender is going to want an inspection walk through for plumbing, electrical, and so on. So the secondary inspection is the housing authority has its own inspectors. They also want to know you're not buying a shack that doesn't have running water. So I would say that would be the limitation. So rather than pelt me with questions about, well, can the house have 10 windows or can it have 4 doors? It really comes down to whether it can pass an inspection. Otherwise, you can purchase the home. What you cannot do is start buying Pawpaw's house on the cool. A lot of you got family members. If they find out that you're using this to purchase a home or mortgage a home from a family member, okay, that's down the street, say Uncle Bob's got 45 houses and he's making crazy money, and you get involved in one of those hustles and the housing authority finds about it, you'll violate federal law, okay? Moving back down to some more questions. Miranda Nelson, thank you for the information. You're welcome. Anyways, says, thanks a lot, Jay, for answering so many questions. I'm trying my best, guys. It's hot today. We had the windows open all day. Mama Nora, a Google user. I like that. I like the way you framed up that, a Google user. So, Mama Nora says, thanks for your video. I'm new. I'm surprised project based can be changed to get into the program. Absolutely. Look, I've had a lot of people that accepted that gracious offer. The housing authority always tries to give people. They'll tell you, hey, rather than give you a housing choice voucher, why don't we give you a project base? That way you can go live out one of our buildings and you're automatically approved. But what you don't realize is you're moving into a tough building. And that's not always the case, but it is a lot of the times. Look, when you get project based, after you complete your HAP contract 12 months, then you can ask the housing authority, hey, you know what, I've really enjoyed so much hearing the gunshots and the prostitutes scream out here, but what I'd like to do is convert my voucher over to Housing Choice Voucher so I can port the fuck out of here, please. Not I meant that the nicest way possible, and that is not anything against you, Mama Nora. I'm just saying in general, I have an attitude with the housing authority and how they trick people into that. So, anyways, yeah, anyway, we can convert that usually within 30 to 60 days with fair notice to the housing authority and the housing authority property. So that'd be project based housing. Heather says, thank you. I appreciate you saying thank you, Miss Heather. We hope to see you back around again. T.O. says, what is there a specific website you can go to find out which housing authorities? You know what? That is the most glorious question today. Where is that website? Since the United States government can spend trillions to send jets to go fight wars, right? But we cannot manage to make one shitty little website that would identify which housing authorities have these programs. Unfortunately, it's the old-fashioned way. You got to do the same way I do it. You start with a map of the state and click county by county, and it's a real gigantic pain in the butt. So I wish there was a list, and I thought about creating one, but there's 5,800 counties, and I just don't think anybody would appreciate me doing that. So I apologize, guys. I'm not going to be the one that makes that database. But yeah, there's no running list. You literally have to call every housing authority in the state till you find what you need. I wish there was a simpler way. And it still shocks me to this day. That's one of the things they have not fixed. So, Living It Up. Hey, man, I like that name as well. I think we all aspire for that, living it up, or either living to buy a house. So, if on Social Security, what is the minimum required to qualify? So, with that, I think 450 a month would be the qualifier. Now, just keep in mind, I'm giving you a loose number because each housing authority is going to have a specific number on that. That'll also be based on AMI area median income, but I think you have a safe bet if you're receiving more than 450 by check, Social Security check. So I think you're going to be okay. T.O. says, thank you for answering questions. Yeah, no problem. Daniel, where have you been? So I want to tell you guys about Daniel Beluga or Belunga. I've never figured out the last name. He's a long time member and he's a cat fan. So I like that. I like that fella. He's always here. As y'all, most of you noticed that most of these people have been coming around a long time. So, all right. Super Queen B45. Thank you, Jay, for all the information and your truthful sense of humor. Well, Super B, you caught me on a good day. Usually the end of my videos are profanity laced, and I'm usually talking shit about the housing authority. So I always start very professionally. And that's because I know my seniors tend to come closer to the beginning of the video. and my more lively people tend to stay at the end when I get more comical. So trust me, guys, if y'all ever watch my line videos, if you're new here and you watch probably past the 45-minute park at 45-minute mark, it usually gets pretty interesting. So it's kind of like it gets a little bit, I'll just say interesting. Catherine Murray, thank you so much for your videos. I have many questions about getting the best program. And where do I find your email address? All right, guys. So I failed to do my job once again on that deal. We're going to do a procession of links, okay? These links are for y'all to learn about me, all right? And so what I'm going to do real quick, contact information, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put that in as a link into the chat window. For those of you that are using something bigger like your TV or your laptop or desktop, you'll be able to look it up in the bottom of the description of the video. That is a book appointment. You do not need to book me. You do not need to pay me. I'm just suggesting that my phone number and my email and all that's there. Please do not ring my phone right now, okay? Second up, I'm going to give you my website. Look, lots of people sell snake oil. There's very few that are on a website like me that put their name, their number, and their actual physical address on there. I do, okay? So that's the difference between a fly-by-night fool and a person that legitimately has been in this business 20 years. So I take the responsibility very serious. So the second link is directly to my website, and I think it tells a rather compelling story. Number 3, and the final link that I'm going to give you guys. People love reviews, okay? There's over 100 of these. You're welcome to read them till your eyeballs pop out. Look, you're welcome to leave a review, whether or not you've hired me or not, and it can be good or bad. My policy is very, very simple when it comes to reviews. I don't take them personally. So if you really do hate me or hate my service, you can really leave a 1-star review. You can leave one each day. If you're having a bad day, save that link, come back, and take your frustration out on my reviews. It does not personally bother me. I've been around so long. My reputation has survived so much that I'm in good standing through all of my videos and all my clients, pretty much. So you're welcome to leave reviews. You're welcome to read them. And the interesting thing about my reviews are they're not curated. How many times you go to Google and every comment's a perfect little 4 sentences, just so well written. If you see the neurotic comments I get, people talk about all kinds of crazy shit in my reviews. That's how you know they're real. Some people leave comments that aren't even comments. They're not even reviews. They're just kind of talking about random shit and then leave me 5 stars. So that's how I tell you, man, I don't need to buy any reviews, fake reviews, and I don't care whether or not anybody gives me 0 stars. So it's just there if you kind of enjoy reading that stuff. So, all right. Dor Sanchez, thanks a bunch for keeping us informed. I try my best. There's not enough people doing what I'm doing, and it's an unfortunate situation. I think that information needs to be shared as best we can to help people, especially when it comes to home purchase, because it's a serious thing in your life. It's one of the most serious. All right, beyond that, guys, you have the link to my website. You have links to reviews. You have links to booking. You have my number. You have my email and so on. If you believe that my services would benefit you, or you believe that I can produce the results I say I can after all these years, you're welcome to book me for whatever it is you need. I always tell people, do not spend your hard-earned money unless you actually plan on participating and carrying things out. There's a lot of people that hire me and book consults, and they do part of what needs to be done, and then they just quit. Believe it or not, okay? And there's some people book appointments, and I never hear from them again. So, look, you'd think, okay, well, they just paid. Why in the world would they just vanish? I never know. I'll never know the story of some people. But anyways, if you need the help, I'm certainly here, and I'm going to close it up tonight. It's a Sunday night. I like to go enjoy it with my cats, and I don't see any other questions that I could possibly answer. So next week, next Sunday, we'll be talking about FHA loans, Fannie Mae, Fannie Mac, and a few other things, and then we'll talk generally at the end of the video and see what happens, okay? Enjoy talking with you. Bye-bye.